Hey everyone, if you have chosen to do the online version of this project, this video is going to talk you around that a little bit. So once you have received the link for the online project, you will be greeted by this slide presentation that will give you instructions. I'm going to make this video for Art 101 and Art 102, so the dates are going to vary. So basically what you need to do is you're going to go onto the Met's website, and you can just find this link right here that will take you right onto the Met's collection. And you're going to find 3 art objects within the scope of our class. So if you're in 101, you're going to need to find some objects that were produced before 1350 CE. If you are in Art 102, you need to choose 3 objects that will be after 1350 CE. Okay, so you're going to choose your 3 objects, and you are going to use those to write this presentation. So you're going to use this slide presentation to help kind of guide you through the process. So on the second slide, it's going to talk about, oh hey, I'm going to give you these instructions on the next slides. Okay, so if you've never used Google Slides before, go to this next slide, slide number 3, and it will give you a tutorial on how to use Google Slides. If you've already done that, then you're good to go. So your actual first slide of the presentation should be your title slide. Slide 1 should be your titles. Give your presentation a nice catchy style or title and give your name there as well. Okay, and then on your next slide, you're going to write your introduction. So this is just 250 words, which will include the name and location of the Met Museum. You're going to describe the theme of your presentation, like just choose a theme. So that's one of the things you need to pay attention to when you're choosing your art objects, is see how you can connect them. Maybe you're going to depict, you're just going to look at images of the human body. Maybe you want to look at images of landscapes. Maybe you want to look at images of horses, or maybe some like ritual objects or things like that. Whatever you want your theme to be, that's fine. Just make sure that your images adhere to that theme. Next, you're going to describe your 3 learning outcomes. And if you don't know about learning outcomes, no problem. I have some nice links here for you to talk you through that process. Okay, so on your next slide, which will be slide 3, this is where you're going to list the 3 objects that you got from the Met Museum. Now, one of the things that I have noted on this slide is that when you choose your objects, you need to choose them from different cultures. So in other words, like if you're taking Art 101, I don't want them to be all Greek. You need to do like 1 Greek and maybe 1 Egyptian and 1 Roman. If you're taking Art 102, I don't want them to be all the same style. So in other words, like don't give me all Impressionism, you know, give me like an Impressionism and a Neoclassical and a Rococo or something like that. Make sure they're all from different periods or different styles so that, you know, we can have some variety. And okay, so this will be the slide that you will list your artist if you know it, the title, the date, and the culture, and also include a URL. So now on slide 4, you are going to actually introduce your first image from the Met. So you will put your image on the slide, and then you will include all this information here. On the next one, you're going to describe this image formally. So remember the first essay that we did in this class. It was called the Starter Kit essay. You looked at an artwork and you described it using the elements of art and principles of design. You're going to use those same vocabulary words to describe your Met image on this slide. Please make sure you pay attention to the word count on all of these slides, because I do look for that and make sure that you have enough information. If you can't remember a lot about the elements of art and principles of design, no problem. Check out these YouTube videos and these guides to kind of refresh your memory. Okay, so you have your Met figure, your first Met figure. You've described it formally. And then on the next slide, you're going to go into your book and you're going to choose an artwork from the same culture. If possible, if you're doing 102, it can be a different culture, but the same time period and the same style. You will choose that and you will compare it to the artwork from the Met. So in other words, say you've chosen an Olmec figure from the Met, like I have here. Great. You'll describe it formally. Then you'll go in your book and you'll find another Olmec figure from the same, roughly the same time period. You'll provide all the information there and an image. And then on your next slide, you will formally and contextually compare these 2 images. So you're going to repeat that with each of your Met objects, and then an object from either the PowerPoints or the textbook. You're going to do that for all 3 objects. Then once you get to the end, let me find the end one. You will write a conclusion. And this needs to be about 150 to 200 words. And this year's going to talk about how your learning outcomes were met and kind of summarize the contribution of your selected objects to your project. You don't have to use outside sources. You can just use our textbook and the PowerPoints and, of course, the MET website. But anytime you use a source or anytime that you quote a source, you need to provide a citation. So this will be your works cited page. Then finally, I have some information about how you submit the project. So just click on this link to watch that video of how you can submit it. You do have to save it as a PDF. And then finally, the last slide just tells you like how I'm going to grade. It's like a rubric. It's, you know, how many points I'll use for each of these slides. All right, if you have any questions, feel free to send me an email or make an appointment. And if not, I'll see you in the museum.